Hakeem "The Dream" Olajuwon was the first African-born player to play in the NBA. He is best known for winning 2 NBA championships with the Houston Rockets and embarrassing all the best centers from his era with incredible post moves. Watch the rest of the video to find out how good was Hakeem actually and where he ranks among the best centers of all time. First contact with basketball at 15. Hakeem grew up in Nigeria in a well-off family, and he was able to play many sports as a youngster. He was a goalie in soccer, but he also played handball and volleyball, all of which attributed to his footwork and hand-eye coordination. Olajuwon discovered basketball at the age of 15 and instantly fell in love with the sport. When he was 17, he participated in a basketball camp where he was noticed by an American coach who recommended Olajuwon to Houston University head coach Guy Lewis. Even though Coach Lewis never saw him play, Hakeem got invited for a trial run with the Cougars in 1980. Standing at 6'11" and with a lengthy 7'6" wingspan, Hakeem was obviously gifted athletically, but he had never played organized basketball with anyone better than him. Before Houston, he never even wore real basketball shoes. Phi Slamma Jamma. Hakeem wasn't cleared to play by the NCAA in 1980, and he redshirted his first year at Houston. He started playing in the 81-82 season but wasn't starting, despite averaging 17 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 blocks per 36 minutes. He helped the Cougars reach the Final Four, where they were eliminated by the eventual champions, North Carolina. Eager to get better and play more than 15 minutes per game, Hakeem worked tirelessly in the offseason. His improvement was accelerated after working with NBA legend Moses Malone, who played for the Houston Rockets and was one of the best NBA players at the time. As a result of training with Malone, Olajuwon came to the start of the 82-83 season as a much better player, which also showed in the stats. He averaged 13.9 points, 11.4 rebounds, and 5.1 blocks, and was one of the best centers in the NCAA. Together with Clyde Drexler, Michael Young, and Larry Mishaw, all future NBA players, Olajuwon formed Phi Slamma Jamma, a slam dunk basketball fraternity. Cougars players were all high flyers, known for their fast-paced tempo and thunderous dunks, and Phi Slamma Jamma soon became the most famous team in the country. Olajuwon and Drexler-led Cougars were the heavy favorites to win the NCAA title in 1983, but they lost the finals to the underdog North Carolina State in a last-second tip-in. Olajuwon won the 1983 NCAA Tournament Most Outstanding Player Award, even though he played for the losing team. He is, to date, the last player from a losing side with this award. Next season, Drexler departed for the NBA, but Olajuwon was so good that he led the Cougars to another NCAA Finals. Close, but no cigar, as they suffered another heartbreaking loss, this time to Patrick Ewing and his Georgetown Hoyas. After that, Hakeem declared for the 1984 draft, where he joined fellow draftees Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, and John Stockton. Despite a stacked draft, there was a national consensus that Hakeem would be selected first, whoever gets the #1 pick. The Rockets won the coin flip, and Hakeem didn't need to move far away. Houston selected him first overall, and he'd spent the next 17 years with the franchise. NBA draft and dominating from the start. Olajuwon joined a young and talented Rockets team that already had a dominant center, the 7'4" Ralph Sampson, who was the MVP of the All-Star game in 1985. Olajuwon and Sampson were the original Twin Towers and had an advantage over almost any front court in the league. Hakeem was great as a rookie with 20 points, 12 rebounds, and almost 3 blocks on average, and would have been a Rookie of the Year if Michael Jordan wasn't so spectacular. In the next year, Hakeem and Sampson improved and somewhat surprisingly led Houston to the NBA Finals after they beat the favorite LA Lakers in the Western Finals. Olajuwon dominated the team that had Hall of Famers in Magic, Kareem, and James Worthy, averaging 31 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 blocks in 5 games. His play was best described by then Lakers coach Pat Riley. "We tried everything. We guarded him with 4 players. We helped from all sides. He's just a great player." However, the Rockets would lose in the NBA Finals 4-2 to the Celtics, who assembled one of the best teams of all times in 1986. And just when it looked like a new big team had been created in the Western Conference and that Rockets would be a dominant force for years, Ralph Sampson's knees gave out. Sampson was an all-star each year from 1984 to 1987, but injury problems kept piling on, and he was soon traded to Golden State, leaving Hakeem as a lone star on the team. Bad teams and fallout with the Rockets management. NBA teams with one superstar and a bad supporting cast can be mediocre at best, and their ceiling is usually the first round of the playoffs, and that's precisely what happened to the Rockets, who were catapulted from the first round each year from 1988 to 1991. Olajuwon averaged 24 and 14 in that span, led the NBA in rebounds, and blocked shots 2 times, but he couldn't do it alone. Bad teammates and stingy management didn't do his talent justice, and his all-star years were all in vain. The team didn't even make the playoffs in 1992, and Hakeem was fed up. He publicly insulted the team's management, dissatisfied with the small contract and the inability to bring in quality reinforcements. And when it seemed that the split was the only solution, Hakeem and the Rockets owner somehow managed to patch things up over the course of one long plane ride. The Rockets offered him more money and promised that he'll get more help, and Olajuwon vowed that he would try to improve as well. Just like Michael Jordan, Hakeem was such a good scorer that he never fully developed his passing game. It was literally the only flaw in his game, and until 1992, he averaged just 2.2 assists per game, which almost doubled in the next several years. MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP. In 1992, the Rockets finally managed to do a good job in the draft when they took Robert Horry, as well as a year later when they brought on Sam Cassell. Together with Kenny Smith, Otis Thorpe, and Vernon Maxwell, the Rockets had the nucleus of a championship team. The dominance that Olajuwon displayed during the 93 through 95 period was a masterclass in how the center position should be played, and is up to par with the best seasons of any player at any position. Hakeem's combination of speed, agility, coordination, and skill were impossible to defend. In 1993, he posted best career marks in points, assists, and shooting efficiency, and he finished second in the MVP voting behind Charles Barkley. Olajuwon also led the league with 4.2 blocks per game, which finally earned him a well-deserved Defensive Player of the Year award. The Rockets set a new franchise record with 55 wins and advanced to the second round of the playoffs, pushing the Seattle Supersonics to a 7th game before losing in overtime 103-100. In 1994, the Rockets again improved their win tally and finished with the second best record in the league. Hakeem averaged identical or better numbers than the year before, and with the averages of 27, 12, 3.5, and 3.7 blocks, he was finally recognized by the NBA as the most valuable player, and again as the Defensive Player of the Year. The Rockets reached the NBA Finals for the second time during Olajuwon's tenure, where they were awaited by the New York Knicks, who finally won the East in the absence of Michael Jordan. It was a matchup between two hard-nosed defensive-minded teams, led by two of the best centers in the NBA, Olajuwon and Patrick Ewing. Neither team broke 100 points in the series, which went to the deciding Game 7 after Hakeem blocked a potential championship 3 from John Starks in the final seconds of Game 6. With 25 points, 10 boards, and 7 assists, Hakeem outplayed Ewing in the final game and won the game and the championship for the Rockets, avenging the loss to Ewing in the 1984 NCAA Finals. Ewing averaged over 24 points during the regular season and 23 points during the 94 playoffs, but Hakeem held him to under 19 points per game and 36% shooting in the finals, with 4 blocks per contest. Next season, as the defending champions, the Rockets started the season slowly, struggling with injuries and bad form. Then they decided to make a mid-season trade for Portland's Clyde Drexler, Hakeem's former college teammate. In the 1995 playoffs, Houston played 2 extremely close series against Utah and Phoenix, winning both in the final seconds. Then, Hakeem completely dismantled the NBA MVP David Robinson and the Spurs in the West Finals, proving who the real MVP should have been. In the finals against the Orlando Magic and Shaquille O'Neal, the Rockets swept the series in 4. Olajuwon was surrounded by shooters, and the Magic had no solution for Hakeem, who averaged 33, 12, and 5 in the series. Sam Cassell described Houston's game plan from the championship days as follows: "We didn't have many designed plays. We just dropped the ball inside to Hakeem. If they didn't double him, it's a basket. If they double, he kicks it out for a three-pointer. And sometimes he scores over a double team." Final years, retirement, and legacy. After winning back-to-back titles, Hakeem had 2 more All-Star years in Houston, but the Rockets regressed as a team and lost in the second round of the 96 to the Supersonics. Next season, the Rockets added Charles Barkley, who tried to catch the last train to win the title. After a promising year and the 3rd best record in the conference, Olajuwon, Drexler, and Barkley went to the Western Finals but lost in 6 games to the Utah Jazz. Years caught up to all 3, and it was the beginning of an end to Hakeem's storied career. He stayed with the Rockets until 2001 and then surprisingly signed a deal with the Toronto Raptors, where he finished his career in 2002 at the age of 39. After retirement, Hakeem was mostly known for holding basketball camps where some of the biggest NBA stars learned the art of the postgame. Kobe, LeBron, Dwight Howard, and others were all reaching out to Olajuwon because they knew he was the most skilled post player ever. Hakeem was a man with 1,000 moves, the rarest combination of skill, strength, and efficiency. He was a guard in the center's body. He could shoot, he could cross people over, he used pump fakes, head fakes, and of course, his most famous move, the dream shake. Hakeem's game was like his nickname, a dream, and he was basically unguardable one-on-one. In the 90s, he played in the playoffs against some of the best centers ever in their prime. Ewing, Shaq, David Robinson all got outplayed by Dream, and it wasn't even close. And while Kareem had Magic, Shaq played with Kobe and D-Wade, and Robinson had Duncan, Hakeem didn't really have an all-star teammate other than those 2 early seasons with Sampson and the season and a half of an aging Clyde Drexler. 7-time NBA champion Robert Horry said this about Hakeem: "I've played with Duncan, Shaq, and Hakeem in my career, and Hakeem is the best, hands down." When Jordan was asked about who he would put in his all-time starting 5, he said that Hakeem would be his center, and Shaq praised Hakeem because he was the only player he couldn't intimidate. And while he didn't have the strength of O'Neal, length of Kareem, Wilt's stats, or Russell's titles, Olajuwon was the most complete and the best two-way center ever. He's the all-time leader in block shots, top 10 on the all-time scoring list, and the only center among the top 10 in steals. Dream is also one of 4 NBA players that recorded a quadruple-double, a testament to his greatness and versatility. Bill Simmons once wrote, "We'll see the new Michael Jordan before we see the new Hakeem Olajuwon," and he was not far from the truth.